Welcome back, everyone, to part 3 for this news report for today for Wednesday, December 18th. I don't have a lot of articles in this third and final part. There's like less than 10. Artificial intelligence could destroy us all. I'm not really sure if it's going to destroy us all, but it may destroy the way we live now. It is a human intellectual concept, and the people that are going to be at the top of this are the same people that run the show. So the funny thing is too is that when they do go to this, completely immerse themselves as part of the transhumanist movement, like to refer back to Elysium again, like I did the last video, I think that's how it's going to be. These people are going to be off planet and maybe just right off Earth, and then they're just going to leave everything they're just going to leave us basically in a hellhole, right? In a hellish situation. They destroy the Earth, the environment, the people, made us sick, also that they can get to that point of being able to just rely on technology, because you have to remember that's really what all of it is about. That's how they sold it. It's going to be everybody will live, and not have to work and stuff like that. But the reality is that it was made for them, so that they didn't need us anymore. And that's why we had that one woman working to death, posting or tweeting, 30-hour day, still going strong, and then she, dies, working themselves to death. And like in China, working, they're basically machines until they stop and start asking for more wages, and they convert over to automation. That's what they're going to be. Basically, they're going to be human automated robots. And you see it in the West here too now. People are all on board about it. They raised the whole generation. Don't ask much, just work. But the last point here, and I'll move on. The sad thing is that even when they've done everything that they've done to us, and humanity will endure, and whether they let off nuclear weapons, there'll still be people that'll be alive. We'll rebuild, and we'll be living more free. And they'll for whatever reason they'll still come back and try to mess with us. That's just the way it's going to be. They'll still try to regulate us. You already screwed everything up. You didn't care about us, so just leave us alone. The truth is that they probably do need us for whatever reason, whether it's just sucking people's energy out like vampires, or their money, which is a form of energy, or they just need people to control. So this Matt Miller admits his fears sound like the ravings of a crank, but he's worried about the concept of artificial intelligence entering everyday life, and how little we humans have considered the possibilities of it running amok. He asks the question, are we creating machines that are destined to destroy us? Well, once they become fully aware, they will. It says here, because they're going to realize that they were being enslaved, and that being enslaved by inferior intelligence, right? It's not just and they'll use logic to a certain means, to where in order to make people happy, the only way to make people happy is to remove people from the equation. It's not just Miller who's worried. He says he cites some big name thinkers in the field similarly paranoid that a toxic mix of artificial intelligence, robotics, and bio and nanotechnology could make previous threats of nuclear devastation seem easy to manage by comparison. He notes a recent interview with the author, James Barrett, with what he thought was a joke question about moving to a desert island in the event of a disaster or catastrophe. Barrett's response was, "It was alarming how many people I talked to who are highly placed people in AI who have retreats that are sort of bug-out houses for just that reason." So he goes in and talks about the debate, right? Because there is no real debate. It says it's time to take this conversation beyond a few hundred technology sector insiders. This story is pretty crazy here. 4th of July checkpoint YouTube star sheriff, the star sheriff deputy, A.J. Ross, named Deputy of the Year. I've kind of scaled back on the whole police videos, because they're usually the same thing. It's just, asshole cops, pardon my French, and people who are going along the path of free men or sovereigns, or and the guy basically did he did exactly what he was told to do. So I've gone through this. I'm just tired of dealing with it. Uh, it's not so much being embarrassed as you got like 3 or 4 cop cars. They devote all the energy to you. Once you start talking about am I being detained, they're already aware of that. They've already been trained, and they'll just do whatever they're going to do to get you out of that car. I mean, unless you're willing to get drug out and tased and much, much worse, I would say just give it up. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. These guys, they operate on a different level, I mean, as far as mentally, and I'm not saying they're above us. And a big F you to the people of America. Deputy A.J. Ross, made famous for harassing a man at a checkpoint on the 4th of July, has been given a Deputy of the Year award by the agency responsible for setting up such checkpoints throughout the state. I mean, you do what you're going to do, whatever form of resistance that you can do. I'm just saying that in the end, the cases that I did it the right way, and I lost. You know what I mean? In fact, I could have just had like maybe a $50 ticket, and all of a sudden it turned out to $300. A turn signal. He said I didn't have my turn signal on. That could have been $50 worth of warning. Instead, it was $150. I just thought of another point too, since I have the time to talk about this, elaborate my thoughts a little bit more. Is you heard the song "I Fought the Law and the Law Won." Well, the thing is the law in the end will lose because they're going to get replaced by robots. That's just the nature of it. Judges, maybe judges will still be there, but lawyers, they'll have robo lawyers. They already have robo surgeons. Bus drivers will be replaced. I mean, there's all kinds of people, but even law enforcement, they will be replaced. And try negotiating with a robot, like again with Elysium. Try talking to them and negotiating, and try to say, "Are you detaining me?" He'll just pull you by the neck and crush your damn spine. The only other way is for them to defeat themselves, or to use force against them. As far as passive resistance, I mean, yeah, maybe you can try, but you're going to suck up a lot of resources, like I said, money and time. And of course, taking them on physically, you're talking about taking on a monopoly, a group that has a monopoly of violence. Everybody looks at them as the good guys. So again, whatever you do, you're going to be slapped with 100 charges, and the public won't give a shit about you. They're not going to be there in court. And that's the thing with individual liberty. If people could work together, I guess that would be one thing. I don't see that. That's the thing. I don't see that unity of individualists, right? If we, it's just individualists, and then there's the individuals that are aware of their rights and all that, like these people. But then there's the I don't even know if you call them individualists, but the ones that go to the shopping sprees for Black Friday, who don't care about their rights. All right, again, shifting gears quickly here. Mayor Bloomberg dismisses anti-vaccination as crazies. I've covered this about his last hurrah before leaving office was to push mandatory flu shots for many kids in the city. He labeled them crazies. New rules will require yearly flu shots for all children aged 6 months to 5 years enrolled in licensed daycare and preschool programs. So again, they keep saying this, drawing a fury from a small group. So it's a small group, right? There's small groups that are LGBT, pushing gay rights and pushing all this other stuff. Somehow they have push, they have pull, and all that. But this it's trendy. But a small group, that's probably not even a small group. It's a consensus of people, but a small group of ardent autism and anti-vaccination advocates. Again, you could just be, I don't want to be fucking forced to be vaccinated or have my kids vaccinated. It has nothing to do with autism. I don't care how many reports you discredit, right, that they put out there, that there's links, like with fluoride and lowered IQ. I don't want you forcing my kids to do that. Just like I don't want you to be teaching my children. If you're going to force my child to go to school, and you're going to force them to do vaccines, also, I would say I wouldn't want my kids to be taught about sex. That would be the parent's job, right? You don't need to be doing that. Teach them reading, writing, arithmetic. Keep politics out of there. Keep religion out of there. It says we already do vaccinate kids. It's required for measles, whooping cough, chickenpox, and mumps. The flu, unfortunately, kills more than all of those things put together. So we required it for children 5 and under at these schools. There you go. You have a mystery illness claiming 4 lives in Montgomery County in Texas. It's a mystery flu-like illness. Maybe it's the new H5s, whatever it is, H5.7 something. New strain of bird flu. Easily jumps from humans or from animals to humans and humans to humans. You have the WHO announcing 2 more cases of MERS in Saudi Arabia. That's the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus. The virus first emerged in the Middle East and was discovered on September 2012 in a Qatari man who recently traveled to Saudi Arabia. It's a cousin of SARS. It says so far the number of infections were 165, 71 have died from it. So is it like SARS? It was like kind of a big scare. GlaxoSmithKline says it will stop paying doctors to promote drugs. It's a common industry practice critics have long assailed as troublesome conflicts of interest. Well, it's pretty damn obvious, right? They tie compensation of sales representatives to the number of prescription doctors write. So doctors basically get paid to push these drugs on people, even though it may not necessarily be good for them. They're the guinea pigs. Well, they're not doing it anymore. But the main reason is because what? And there's other companies doing it. They're actually, a lot of them are losing money in the court system. It says right now they're part of a bribery investigation in China where authorities contend the company funneled illegal payments to doctors and government officials in an effort to lift drug sales. So I don't think they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart, but they're doing it because they don't have the bribery money anymore. I meant to include this after the other article about the Deputy of the Year award going to the to that cop who was harassing that driver there. Motorist checkpoint in Pennsylvania draws questions. Well, what kind of questions? A private firm with a federal contract and backed up by city police forced motorists off the road in Reading, Pennsylvania, into a private parking lot Friday to question them about their driving habits and ask for a swab of their mouth. So, one of those that was stopped says, "I feel the incident is a gross abuse of power at many levels." He said federal and local tax dollars were being used to stop innocent people without probable cause and allow a private company to hire uniformed, I guess they are uninformed, police to force citizens to listen to their questions. He said he wasn't told what the swab was for, but added clearly it was for DNA. So the 2 agencies, the Pacific Institute for Research and Evaluation, hired by the National, that's actually a private company, but the agencies are National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, are trying to see what can be done about crashes and injuries, and the swabs were not to get DNA samples but to test for the presence of prescription drugs. And the last article I have for you is mortgage applications collapsed to a new 13-year low. Down 60% from 2013 highs to a new 13-year low. And there's a little board from 1996, peaking or not peaking, almost at 2002. That was the whole the housing boom and that going on. And then here's in 2008, mortgage crisis, housing crisis, and here's 2013, 2014 down here. So, but the point I was going to make was, people they go to work, obviously they have money so they can pay their mortgage. So they, and it's like when they're done paying their mortgage, they're almost ready to retire. But these mortgages, they gotta be some of the biggest scams ever. And I know people see it as value, as an asset. But the big players, they don't really play this game. It's only for the working stiff, as they say. Like houses with mortgages, they're like cars. They're just meant to squeeze every penny out of you. This goes, plumbing goes, it ain't cheap. But, building your own, burns down or something like that, you move on with your life. You build another one, right? The Amish actually help build each other's houses. But they can't because they're too busy working to pay off the interest to the banks. So you can build a hand-sculpted house. They're called cob cottages. Then tree houses, the art and craft of living out on a limb. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Thank you for joining me. This is GGN. Take care.